Hey guys, welcome back to another Twisted Tale review. My shelf is looking sloppy because I am currently reading Unbirthday, but I think it goes here. I took the dust jacket off because the puppies kept attacking me. So we had to keep that safe, but this lovely gap right here goes to today's book, What Once Was Mine by Liz Braswell. I finished this about a week ago, and I should have filmed my thoughts and feelings right away, but I didn't. I don't know why it took me that long to get up here and just sit in front of a camera, but at the same time, I do. It was a very stressful week last week. Don't worry about that here, because we're only here to talk about this book and what my thoughts during the reread was, and apparently both puppies have to weigh in with their clickety clicks of the there is no room to go under me, bud. Look at this dog. Whoa. He's literally just looking, because he usually sits under my desk, so he thinks he can go under my chair, but there's nothing down there. You can't go anywhere. Just sit. I'll show you. Just lay down. Just lay down. I'm gonna go in the office. I'm gonna go in the office after this. Maybe that's part of it, is I haven't felt like doing office-y work in a week. I had it all set up. My hair was kind of ish. You can use your own adjective there. Whatever. And I don't mean to be wearing the Sleeping Beauty shirt again, but I did like a closet declutter, so I only have 3 different t-shirts that I'm cycling through when I'm not at work, and this is one of the 3. And I guess it makes me feel like reviewing Disney books, so we're gonna do that today. The premise for this book is, what if Rapunzel's mother drank the wrong flower? Drank a potion from the wrong flower. So in the, to be honest, I don't even know the classic literature of the Rapunzel fairy tale, but in the Disney movie, she drank the potion from the sun drop flower, hence giving Rapunzel the golden hair and the healing magic. Hello. This is part of the reason we don't try, because somebody's got to stick out. In the case of this story, it's not a sundrop flower that she drinks. It's actually the moondrop flower. But it's not just as simple as she drank the wrong flower and we go through the fairy tale as is, because there's an extra twist to this particular book that I thoroughly enjoyed the first time around. And reading it again, while I did have some questions, this may be my favorite Braswell book. I dare say it may be her best twisted tale, but I still have a couple more to read, or reread rather, and I don't want to say that because I hate committing to one. But I think this might be my favorite of them, and I'll tell you why here after we read the dreaded, chunky long one. What if Rapunzel's mother drank a potion from the wrong flower? Desperate to save the life of their queen and her unborn child, the good citizens of the kingdom comb the land for the all-healing sundrop flower to cure her. But someone mistakenly picks the blossom of the moondrop instead. This shimmering flower heals the queen, and she delivers a healthy baby girl, with hair as silver and shining as the moon. But along with her mysterious hair come dangerous magical powers, the power to hurt, not heal. For the safety of the kingdom, Rapunzel is locked away in a tower and put under the care of the powerful good wife, Mother Gothel. For 19 years, Rapunzel stays imprisoned in her tower. Why is that the phrase today? Why? Okay, sorry, back to it. I usually don't interrupt that, but I've read that 3 times, and I can't. In her tower. For 19 years, Rapunzel stays imprisoned in her tower, knowing she must protect everyone from her magical hair. When she finally decides to leave the only home she's ever known to see the floating lights that appear on her birthday, she gets caught up in an unexpected adventure with 2 thieves, a would-be outlaw named Gina, and Flynn Rider, a rogue on the run. Before she can reach her happy ending, Rapunzel learns that there is far more to her story, her magical hair, and her future than she ever knew. Let's immediately jump into what the blurb is not telling us, because the first chapter and several of the chapters are actually set in more modern day present times where a young man, I'm not sure of his age, I want to say late teens, Brendan, is in the hospital with his sister who has just gone through and is going through various levels of chemotherapy. It doesn't specify what type of cancer she had, but she is going through it. And her favorite book, her favorite fairy tale, her favorite movie is Tangled, Rapunzel, which there is a nice little nod to, like, she kind of lost her hair from the cancer and the chemo treatments, and like kind of the parallel or the opposite of that with Rapunzel's hair, but it's actually it's a nice little like, oh, that's so nice, but also so tragic and sad. There's a lot of that in here. He's in the hospital room with his sister after watching the Tangled movie for probably the third or fourth time in a row. Like, it's on repeat. And his sister's like probably just a younger teenager at this point. And she wants him to read her, after they watch the movie, to read her the story of Rapunzel. So Brendan, being a very smart young man, very smart, but also kind of like, I really don't want to do this. Like, it's so boring. It's such a blah, blah, blah fairy tale. He decides he's going to read it, but rather retell it with his own little spin on it. So all of the twists that occur within the fairy tale are essentially Brendan's new version. One of the things that made me occurred to me while I was reading it this time around was this kind of like word for word how he was telling it, or was he just more like narrating it very basically, and then we just kind of actually see as if it would happen? Like, I kind of want to know, like, is this word for word? Because if it's word for word, Brendan should probably be an author. But that's just one of those things that kind of like pulled me out of the story for a second, and I was like, wait, he came up with this? Like, certain things make sense. A couple times as the story goes along, the sister's like, oh, I don't want you to tell that part. You're gonna put clone troopers and, you know, space and like all these different boy like typical things, which he doesn't do. But he does give us quite a bloody little bit of world building. In the movie, for those who aren't aware, I'm not going to recap the whole thing, but Mother Gothel, kind of witchy, like she doesn't have her own magic. She uses Rapunzel's magical hair to keep herself young. In this case, she has taken it upon herself to raise Rapunzel, rather imprison her, because she wants to sell her off for the death powers. Death hair. No, it's murder hair. Sorry, that is the exact frame they use. It is murder hair. So she has these meetings with what are essentially like noble tyrants of more historical times, like Lady Bathory, aka the lady who is pretty much a vampire. She would kill young women and bathe in their blood. There were a couple other guys mentioned, which off the top of my head, I can't really pull out. Like, it wasn't Vlad the Impaler or nothing, but Lady Bathory is the big bad, rather than it being just Mother Gothel. So as things come to pass, Rapunzel's stuck in her tower. She's turning 19 and she knows the lanterns are coming up, but Mother Gothel refuses to let her go see them. Refuses to let her out of the tower, because that's some goods there we gotta sell you. So while Mother Gothel is out, Rapunzel sees Flynn actually sneaking around the bottom of the tower area and hides something in a tree. She climbs out, discovers that it's the crown, which she's not connecting it to all the other royal stuff that she has been given with the same sun insignia. So she doesn't know what crown it is, but she takes it because if he comes back, maybe, just maybe, we can talk to somebody. However, that plan escalates to Rapunzel actually escaping her tower after once again being refused to be allowed to go see the lanterns with her mother. So when she escapes this time, she finds the snuggly duckling and All she has is the hidden crown, but she does have a wanted picture of Flynn Rider, a notorious rogue who's wanted by the crown. There we go. I need to just remember to just set the books. My hands don't do that. Even though she's looking for Flynn Rider, Gina is actually the one who speaks up and offers her services. For a while, it felt like Gina wasn't necessarily there for comedic relief, but possibly more as a foil or filler where Flynn lacked. And I think the story could have been written without her, which I thought about it long and hard because I think she's the only character of color, or at least she's the only one noted as a character of color. Like, even her mom, she was technically adopted, so her mom, I don't think her mom was a person of color. But it kind of did have a feeling like she was a token character, because I personally don't, like, I didn't dislike her being there. We know that the romance between Rapunzel and Flynn is going to develop. I don't think there was quite enough. There was definitely a few moments where that romance began to develop very slowly, but we spent a lot more time with Gina. Like, maybe she was a bit of an inspiration for, like, kind of being independent and doing her own thing to Rapunzel, but really Rapunzel's influence was more so comparing her mother, Gina's mother, so like the good witch essentially, and then like the royal parents she never knew, which are not dead. She learns they're not dead, and that changes things too. So while I did enjoy Gina as a character, in my like critical reread of this, I wasn't convinced that she had to be there. Prove me wrong, or let me know in the comments if there's something that I may be missing, because it has been a week since I finished the book. That's just kind of how I felt about it in the reread. Taking a little tangent from that. One thing that Braswell does that I usually enjoy, but I still have that same feeling, like I enjoy it, but I don't know if it was necessary, is taking the story we know and twisting it, but also having like this, like here's the story, all of this other stuff happening, which makes the books quite chonkers. And it's one of those things where it's like, I guess it makes sense. It gives more depth in a way, but was it necessary? And that's when my editing brain's coming out, which it shouldn't even be turned on because I am not in anywhere close to editing any writing at this moment. So let me know if you've read What Once Was Mine, what your thoughts were on Gina, especially like the Gina Flynn pairing and sort of the Gina Flynn Rapunzel trio. Because I feel like I must have been missing something, or I don't know, I feel like Gina's mom was more important. I honestly feel like Gina's mom turned out to be more important and contributed to Rapunzel's growth more so than Gina herself. That's my hot take. She meets up with Gina and Flynn. She just wants to go see the lanterns, but obviously there are some bumps in the road, like the Stabbington twins, who are hired to essentially re-kidnap Rapunzel. And then it turns out that all like the other lords and nobles that were bidding for Rapunzel and her murder hair are also sending people after her to kidnap her for their own means. They do spend quite a bit of time with Gina's mother in the woods, and Rapunzel gets to experience this entirely different approach to magic and what its abilities are. And that's where she learns that she doesn't have just murder hair, because the murder hair is only on the new moon. The moon has 28 phases, and so technically each night she has a different variation of magic. We don't get to see all of it. We do get to see some of it slowly as Rapunzel kind of discovers the way to actually tap into her magic with the Good Witch. It gives her another option of not just living in the tower with Mother Gothel, not just returning to be the princess that she isn't. Like, she didn't grow up being the princess. She doesn't know anything about it. She really doesn't feel like the princess. That's like the least of her identity. And then now the third option is just like, let me live in the woods and be a witch. Yeah, we like this idea. Magical powers. However, it's never that simple, because Mother Gothel isn't the one to find her. It's Lady Bathory. And Lady Bathory takes her back to her grungy castle in the middle of Sad Town and essentially makes her another level of prisoner again because she wants to use Rapunzel's power to gain more power for herself. And if that can't happen, well, Rapunzel is a nice, pretty young lady who would make a very lovely Beth. Safe to say, we know that Rapunzel is saved. She does contribute to her own rescue escape by eventually tapping into her magic to like a understandable level, which is something else I really liked. It wasn't like, now I can master my magical hair. It was very much a struggle, and we weren't sure we were gonna make it. But she did have just enough magic to create an effect that saved them from Lady Bathory's clutches. And it kind of went dark at the end, which Brendan's little sister also gave him a critique for. But we still got our fairy tale ending where Rapunzel returns to her parents. She gets to live as a princess. Flynn Eugene is a good guy. The parents are kind of like, oh, it's our 19-year-old daughter who's kind of with a boy. That, I like that mixed feeling, which is like, that's very accurate. I get it. So it turns out really, really fairy tale at the end. Not quite as fairy tale feel as So This Is Love, which I just reviewed last week or so, whenever that video went up. What Once Was Mine carries that extra level of charm in you are fully relearning a world. Because Rapunzel has been imprisoned in her tower for 19 years, she thinks a squirrel is a moose and a fox is a bear and all these different things where it's clearly a level of lack of education, lack of experience, and also lack of sensations up to this point, like the feel of a tree or moss or a wet stream. Like all of these different sensations are very well captured in the prose. And I think that's why I enjoyed this Braswell book the most, coupled with the fact that Brendan's telling his sister his own version of the story to kind of like cheer her up and put a twist on her favorite story. Like for me, even though I'm like, how does Brendan do this? Like, how much research did he do for all this? I still, like, I can set that aside and just be like, that's such a nice thing to do. Like, we want that in a brother. While definitely carrying a fairy tale feel, the sense of innocence and pureness and just newness that Rapunzel carries as a character that we get to see through her eyes, I think, in terms of a reading experience through the Twisted Tales, is the most unique. And maybe that's why I think it's my favorite right now, because I've been just rereading and it's either very like quest focused, or right now it's very nonsense because it's Unbirthday and you have to physically read that book, by the way. To summarize my thoughts, hopefully in a semi-clear way, as a reading experience, What Once Was Mine is really encapsulating the sense of newness, the sense of wonder, and a new sense of learning as well within the prose through Rapunzel's very naive, very inexperienced eyes in a way that we don't see in the other Twisted Tales. There is a decently dark twist to it, like we added in other characters. Stuff happens with Mother Gothel as well, but it does... Mother Gothel... I wouldn't have high hopes for her if you're basing it off the movies. She's there, but Lady Bathory is more important. More of a problem in this case. Even though there are definitely parts of this book that I question as a writer myself, I think the overall feel of it is very, not whimsical. Well, maybe whimsical, but like it carries a happiness through it that can only be described in that happiness of finding something new or finding something that you enjoy and letting it be what it is. Even if it is a squirrel and not a moose, there is a different sense of adventure in this book, in a different presence of character and like character presentation that I think is very unique. And at the moment, this is my favorite Braswell, but I have 4 more to read. So we will see. which one, if any, can beat this, because Braswell is probably my favorite author of the Twisted Tale series, but it's hard to pick a favorite. Like, I'm also bad at picking favorites. Currently, we are reading Unbirthday. I'm about 200 pages into that. And after that, I'm so close to hitting my goal by getting this done before my mid-update in July. My other goals have not made any progress, but we don't have to talk about that. But after Unbirthday, I will have Straight On Till Morning, Part of Your World, and As Old as Time. I will have 3. So I have 4 books left to finish. And then I can read Fate Be Changed. Maybe she'll turn into a bear. Maybe she does turn into a bear. Am I calling it? Am I calling it on May 30th? We'll find out. All right, that about wraps up this little recap review. I apologize if my thoughts were a little bit all over the place, and maybe I was just overthinking some things, but these are basically my brain dumps, so when I do tier rank them, I can have something to reference regarding my feelings. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Again, leave some comments below if you have any experience with What Once Was Mine, etc. Or if you're looking forward to any of the last 4. I only got 4 more to go. I still gotta read them though. Still gotta read them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.